What's going on? I mean, I say, all right, ready. And I'm
I
ready. And
realized I
you
wasn't
got
ready.
something in your
I
mouth.
tried to get it in there quick.
Unbelievable. What's going on, everybody? Try number 2. Welcome back to the Dominant Pop DC Sports Talk Post podcast. It's Super Bowl week. Let's not waste any more time. We're going to get right into it. Let's do this thing. Pop, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Boys are back. The boys are back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Long overdue. It's been a little, we've been giving ourselves a little bit of leeway here. Season's over. Game slowed down a little bit, letting ourselves catch our breath after that regular season sprint. I guess we could do a little bit of housekeeping. We're most likely going to be back to our Monday morning pod drops. I think that's going to be the vibe from now on. Don't need to do 2 a week now that the games are over. Season's over, unfortunately. But we're going to hit you with that Super Bowl post game for sure.
First ever Super Bowl post game next week is the plan, so that'll be exciting.
Yes, sir. It's going to be great. We're going to be doing the usual, all the usual fare. Plenty of off-season stuff to talk about. But hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. We still have one game left.
But let me just say one thing. For that Super Bowl, we're going to have, it's going to come back. We're going to have our sauce award. We're going to have our game balls, kickots of the game. So definitely make sure you tune in. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to treat that Super Bowl game like how we treated our Commanders post games, but
Absolutely.
on steroids because it's the Super Bowl. So it's going to be banging. Going to be so much fun. It's the most bittersweet day of the year for me because we get excited for the Super Bowl. We get excited for the Super Bowl. We get excited for the Super Bowl. The NFL playoffs are always amazing. And then, I don't know, for me, when that first kickoff hits, there's this wave of sadness that comes over me where I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm psyched.
Yeah, but think
for
of
the
it
game,
this way, son.
But it's
we're all 0-0. The Commanders will be in first place come Monday, the 13th of February.
For the last time,
tied for first
next
place.
season, we'll be tied for first place.
Never know. Come on. A lot of optimism could be coming. New ownership, everything. But we digress.
Hey,
let's focus on that Super Bowl.
We'll bring all that to you after the Super Bowl. We're getting right into it today. So, in case you've been living under a rock, we got Super Bowl coming to you. Eagles versus Chiefs this Sunday, State Farm Stadium, Glendale, Arizona. We heard we were getting the Radio Row passes. We're still waiting. They must be caught up in the mail somewhere.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I know COVID messed up the postal system a couple years ago, so maybe it's still recovering, specifically in our neighborhoods. But we're waiting on our Radio Row passes. We'll be there in spirit. But I was talking about it with some of my friends from high school. We're kind of going back and forth in the group chat. We're saying some of the guys were kind of disappointed that it's 2 1 seeds against each other. No Cinderella story.
How can you be disappointed in that?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we got the 2 best teams in the NFL this year facing off against each other. This is what you want to see.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, for some reason, there are Chiefs haters. People don't like the Chiefs. I don't understand how you could not like the Chiefs.
Who picked that Super Bowl right? Who got that right?
It was a good call, Pop. It was a good call. It was not a, I was riding the San Francisco train. Unfortunately, as we all saw, Brock Purdy suffering that pretty nasty injury. Kind of, that game was not much of a game to watch, unfortunately. But, the Chiefs and the Bengals delivered on what was a hell of a football game, that AFC Championship. Always a great game there. You guys have already gotten to break down and enjoy that. We're looking ahead. We're on to Cincinnati, even though Cincinnati won't be there. We're on to Kansas City. I guess we're on to Glendale. So some of the big storylines, I guess, want to hit, and then we'll hit our own stuff. But some of the big storylines for the Super Bowl, this is the first time we got 2 black quarterbacks facing off in the Super Bowl against each other. Really cool, really great progress for the league. I know that's been a big thing, been trying to focus on. That's awesome. Number
What's
two,
great is the first time I thought of that was when somebody in the media said it.
yeah,
It never even occurred to me. They're just two great players in my mind, and the thought of that didn't even occur to me. So,
yeah, it's
but yeah,
great the strides that have been made to, since it's been talked
yeah,
about more, the strides that have been made to give these guys more of a chance, and the way they've proven themselves, it's phenomenal. I mean, we've got two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL facing off against each other. It's a great storyline. You got Andy Reid facing off against his old team. That's a great storyline. The Philadelphia Eagles, where he made his name for himself as a head coach, facing off against them in Kansas City. You've got the Kelsey Bowl, of course. Jason Kelsey, Hall of Fame, first ballot, one of the
it's a
best
great
centers of
story.
all time on the Philadelphia Eagles, facing off against one of the best tight ends of all time. I mean,
I
how
think he's the
often,
goat. He's the goat.
probably the best, right? How often do
Yeah,
you see that happen in pro sports? You got two brothers facing off. You see that from time to time, but the fact that
it's never happened before.
they're both that excellent. Well, it's never
Yeah,
happened in the Super Bowl before, but you
right.
see two brothers play against each other, and the fact that they are reinventing how their position is played, levels of excellence. Both of them individually facing off. That's so cool. Um, and just on a baseline here, you've got the two best teams in the NFL throughout the whole year facing off. Super exciting. So the line is super tight. Right now, it's Eagles -1.5. They're probably going to change that every 30 minutes between now and the Super Bowl. We'll get to that later when we make our picks. But all that to say, it's going to be a hell of a game. I
Yeah, I
cannot
hope
wait.
so. I hope so. It's definitely lining up to be a great game. It's one of those where we'll get into it when we make our picks, but yeah, it's a tough one to pick, which is a
It
great
is.
sign. Yeah,
It is. So let's do some housekeeping now. We've got some live competitions active. We've got some picks that need to be made and need to be kept up on. So let's do real quick. I want to hit a bracket check in, and then let's get into the bones of the game. We'll do scouting report. We'll go over the keys, all that good stuff. But first thing first, housekeeping. We got our bracket check in. Now this is unprecedented. It's unprecedented for many reasons because it's the first time it's ever happened, but it's also just unprecedented. We have a guaranteed tie between me and Pop. Run the math. It is guaranteed that is a tie for first place, me and Pop. Want to give a quick shout out to our Ravens insider and for our boy Wilson27 on Twitter. That's at Wilson27 for hooking us up not only with a sweet header, but he sent in his bracket as well. You guys, thank you so much for participating. Hopefully, you come back next year, run it again, get your chance at the title. But this year, me and
sorry for the
Pop
butt
tied.
whooping. Sorry for the butt whooping,
Somebody's got to be the best. It's just the nature of competition.
guys.
And so
Just kidding. Just kidding.
in that
Kind of.
spirit, in that spirit, somebody's got to be the best. We got to pick a way to do this tiebreaker. Now we
Got to
talked a
figure
little
out a
off
tiebreaker.
pod. You said you wanted to debate it live. So what do you got some thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think I mean, you had 49ers Chiefs. I had Eagles Chiefs. So I think using that final score, even though we agreed to it, I feel like it's kind of out the window now. I feel like we should do a reset. Now we could stick with that. That was the original rules. If you want to be a stickler, we could stick with that. Who gets the final
You want to
score,
follow
right? But
you
I
want
mean,
to
you
follow
had
the
your
rules of the
score for the
competition.
49ers, not the Eagles, right? I propose let's do a reset. Let's figure out a way to reset this tiebreaker. I think the easiest thing would be let's just repick the game and a score. And that'll be the tiebreaker. If you want to change your mind, pick the Eagles, or if I want to change my mind, pick the Eagles. And if we end up both picking the same team again, then we go to the score for the tiebreaker. That's my proposal. Simple.
All right. I like it. So let's do this. Do three things. I think this is how we can reach a nice compromise here so we don't tie again. Let's do three things. You got to pick against the spread. So Eagles -1.5 is what we're going to go with. You got to pick the straight up winner and you got to pick the over under. And whoever gets the most out of those three wins. How's that? Is that good?
All right, you just blew up my proposal. But if that's what you want to do, That's what we'll do.
Or you want to redo the score? We can just straight up redo the score too.
I just say we pick the winner and the score. Traditional. We're just
All right,
repicking. But we will
repicking.
do those other things in our bottom bets.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I like
All right.
that. Diversify a little.
So we'll cover that in our bottom bets. We'll cover the straight up winner and the score and all that kind of good stuff, and
All
that'll
right.
end up being our tiebreaker.
But before that, let's get educated. Let's talk scouting report. Let's talk what we're thinking about going into the game, and then we will make all of our picks having the same amount of information. Because Pop is known to just make picks, not even knowing who the starting quarterback is. This week we know who it's going to be, but we want to make sure we're all on a level
Who went
playing
two
field
and
here.
0 last week? Which one of us
So
went 2-0?
it's a hell of a storyline, this bracket situation. I came out on an absolute heater. Pop capitalized when it counts. The guy who came up with the scoring system seemed to benefit it off it the most. We're going to have to run that one back in front of Congress, figure that out. A little questionable.
Hey,
But
the games get more meaningful as it goes. It's completely logical.
yeah,
You
sure.
agreed to it.
I
You
did. I
could have
did. I
debated
did.
it.
I did. It's fair. It's fair. But let's get right to it. Scouting report. So we've got, just a hell of a football game. You're gonna have to throw a dart at this one. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's so hard to pick. You've got what is I think the most complete team in the NFL in the Philadelphia Eagles against a damn good football team in the Kansas City Chiefs with the best player this game has seen in a long time. In Patrick Mahomes, and a guy that is just able to do things that are otherworldly. And I think you've got a classic matchup here of you've got can the individual in Mahomes, can he stand on his head and perform so many magic tricks to overcome the great team effort of the Philadelphia Eagles with the scheme and with the way they run that run pass
There you
option
go
offense
again. There you go again.
and with the individual just the individual efforts of Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown and Devonta Smith and Quez Watkins, Kenny Gainwell, Miles Sanders. They've got weapons out there. They're unbelievable. What do you mean there I go again? What's wrong?
These
Giving the
are
Eagles
two
credit?
great
I'm not allowed to do
teams.
that?
These are two great teams. You're making the Eagles sound like, the Green Bay Packers of the 60s, or sorry for
One,
an old reference,
one,
or
1-53, the Green Bay Packers are better than 1-53 on Kansas City. I don't think anybody argues with
Green
that.
Bay Packers. I threw you off.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Eagles.
You threw me off. That's what I'm trying to say. The complete team here is better, but Mahomes is so much better than anything the Eagles have. There's a big gap there, right? So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be really good. I think something to watch for is that Philadelphia Eagles offensive line has been one of the best of all time this year. They're facing off against Chris Jones, who has had an unbelievable season, 16 and a half sacks. So are they going to be able to, is the Kansas City pass rush going to be able to stay disciplined against that RPO style offense that Philly runs? Are they going to be able to stay downhill on the quarterback? Are they going to be able to stifle out that run? They were 8th in run defense this year. Are they going to be able to hold that down against, um, blanket on Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell, who've both been great? I think another thing to watch is the Chiefs secondary. It's questionable at best. They're rough. And you've got two great wide receivers in Devonta Smith and AJ Brown on the outside there, and you've got Quez Watkins who runs a 4.240 in the seam. Something I caught from last week that I thought was really interesting is Tyler Boyd, the third receiver, was actually the leading receiver before he got hurt out of Kansas City, and he was getting a lot of looks last week, pardon me, on Cincinnati. And what you saw Kansas City do late in the game was they would double both Burrow and Higgins on the outside. So if you do that against Philly, Quez Watkins is going to torch you. You put a linebacker on Quez Watkins, you put a safety on Quez Watkins, he's going to go flying. So that's going to be interesting to watch. I think offensively for Kansas City, all the eyes are on Patrick Mahomes' ankle, of course, right? Is he healthy? Is he going to be able to move around? I think the answer is yes. and I think him and Kelsey are going to cook. But we'll see. I mean, that's a great defense and a great secondary in Philadelphia as well. So, like I said, all boils down to Mahomes the magician versus the more complete team in the Philadelphia Eagles, where they're kind of greater than the sum of their parts. What's going to happen?
Yeah, I don't think the distance between these two teams, even if you took the two quarterbacks out of play, is that great. I also think, there's a pretty big advantage for the Chiefs. They've been there before. Andy Reid's
Yeah,
been there multiple times. Mahomes has been there, and I think Mahomes is playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's had
I
to hear
agree.
about Joe Burrow, and now he's hearing about being, playing the better team in the Eagles, and the Eagles are actually favored. I love the Chiefs in an underdog role, and I
Yeah,
don't think that gap between them is as wide. And it's the first time being there. There's something to be said for that. Um, Not tipping my hand on a pick, but I'm not quite on board with this idea of, which I've heard floating around a little bit, that maybe the Eagles are stronger favorites that even the line suggests. I think that's a bit disrespectful to the Chiefs, in my opinion.
yeah. You know what this reminds me of? To shout out your prior genius in picking the NBA champions of last year, the Golden State Warriors. Going into the year, everybody's talking about Minnesota is going to be exciting, Philadelphia is going to be exciting, Buffalo is going to be exciting, and everybody kind of forgot about the Chiefs in the same way that everybody kind of forgot about the Golden State Warriors. And
Wait,
at
am
the
I
end of
on
the
the
day,
verge of picking the NBA and NFL champions?
you might be, you
I
might
mean,
be,
what are you doing, people? Come on.
you might be.
But
Hey, grease the lampposts out in Pop's hometown. It's gonna get rough out there. But yeah, it reminds me of that. In that everybody kind of forgot that Steph Curry was the best basketball player in the league until he just reminded everybody and was like, I'm going to go be who I am and nobody can stop me. Nobody's ever been able to stop me. I think Mahomes is in a, it's almost spooky how similar of a role he's in that with Kansas City this year. So, do you want to? I outlined some of the keys. I think I kind of gave mine. Do you have some keys you think you want to get into, or you want to just get right into the bets?
I mean, I think maybe we could I think we get right into the bets, just can kind of give our
Yeah,
final thoughts. I think we covered it pretty well. I mean, again, I think it's shaping up to be a great game. You know, and like you said, two number one seeds, gotta love that. Great job on scouting report, as always, son. I always
thank
walk away really impressed. You're a pro at that. Pay this man his money; he deserves it. Great
you. Yes,
job on
sir.
that. Always enjoy those. So, I say let's pick the games. Let's figure out this tiebreaker, and I think we're going to throw in a couple of little additional things in the bottom bets this time around. So I say we get right into the people's favorite segment. Well, second favorite or tied for first with the kickouts of the week. No kickouts of the week this week, but I got a special short coming for the folks. So we'll wait on
There
that.
you go. There you go. So Pop's been cooking up the shorts in the lab, but we got them bottom bets coming at you. So quick recap: Pop obviously went 2-0 in the championship round. I went 0-2. So Pop 5-7 on the playoffs after starting 1-5. He got hot at the right time. I'm 6-6 after starting off 5-1. So I cooled off at the wrong time, much like I did in fantasy football this year. Becoming a theme here. I don't like that. But let's get into our Super Bowl picks without further ado. So, straight up, Eagles -1.5 versus the Chiefs. Pop, what do you like there?
I'm riding with the Chiefs. I'm just going to ride with them. I picked them in the beginning. I picked them all along. I'm sticking with them. They've done right by me, and I really believe the experience that they bring, and their best player is better than anyone in the Eagles. I'd argue their second best player with Travis Kelsey. You brought up Chris Jones. They've got the top of their roster. They're better than the Eagles. Maybe the Eagles are a more balanced team overall, but I think that experience. I think they're going to play with a chip on their shoulder. And I'm going to stick with the Chiefs, and I'll get. Well, getting 1.5 for sure. I'm going to take the
Yeah.
Chiefs.
Yep, you're gonna give Mahomes and Andy Reid plus points in the Super Bowl, and Tom Brady is not on the other side of the football. I'm gonna take the Chiefs there as well. I
Yeah.
think that's just I think that's a pretty, yeah, it's a pretty obvious pick there. Um, we'll see. It should be great. Do you want to do the? So I guess that probably gives our answer as to who we're picking straight up as well, right? We're both going to take Kansas
Right.
City straight up if we're getting the
Right.
points. So that's that. Over under. I think you said it was 50 and a half.
Right. Well, if we give our scores, we're going to tip that off. So why don't we give our
Fair enough.
scores?
All right. You want to go first,
What do you
Pop? You want
got?
me to go?
I'm going to go 27-23 Chiefs.
Ooh, okay. So we're going to split it both ways. I'm going 24-20 Kansas City, which would put me at the under firmly. I think the under is 50 and a half points. I just think
50
it's
and a
too much.
half. Right.
Too much for these two defenses. I mean, these offenses are great too, but I think,
Solid. Solid.
yeah, I don't think Philly, it's only going to go that high, in my opinion, if Philly runs away with it. And even when Phillies ran away with it, they haven't hit that high. So I think we're going to get, I don't think Philly's going to be able to run away with it like that out the gate. So I'm going under 24-20 Kansas City Chiefs. So you've got 27-23. And then by default, I guess you'll be taking you're right at that line. So you're technically taking the under too, huh?
Damn. Yeah, you're right. We're both under.
Damn. Tom and Pop, official pick. Take the under.
Yep. We're both
Also,
under. You're right. We're
Tom and
strong at
Pop's
math
official
once again.
gamble responsibly pick. Take the under. Uh, yeah. So that's. I mean, I
So
think
let's
that's
get
that
into
for
this.
the
I
Super
think
Bowl.
the other thing we talked about is picking the MVP. So let me give the lines
Yep.
on that. Patrick Mahomes is favorite. Well, Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts are actually tied for favorite at plus 130.
Yep.
Travis Kelsey is plus 1600. AJ Brown is plus 1800. Miles Sanders is plus 2500. Devontae Smith is plus 3100. You going to get bold here? Or are you going to go chalk, son?
If I was making real money picks, I'd probably get bold and I'd take some of that money on Devonta Smith just for fun because he has that ability to just go crazy, and that might be worth just throwing a 5 spot on.
Why
But
not?
for that guy, he's so damn good at football. So good at football. Remember next time, any little kids out here listening, when they tell you you're too small, you can't play, and you know you have the tape. Remember that kid because that's what they said about him
Yeah.
before he came into the league. Um, man, I'll take Kelsey to try and get bold because I think Kansas City's going to win,
All
and I
right.
think Mahomes already has one, and I think they might want to give a nod. Kelsey's coming up on 34. Who knows how much longer he'll be doing it? I think
Well,
they
you
might want to
put
give
some money
Travis
on that, plus
flowers.
1600.
I also think that's a good pick. So I'll take
Yeah.
Kelsey there. What do you think, Pop?
I'll go ahead and say Pat Mahomes. Yeah, stay consistent there. But
Yeah.
good stuff. Good stuff. Bet
Yep.
responsibly, people.
Yeah, bet responsibly. I know you said it doesn't get you moving, so we won't run the numbers, but throw out a Gatorade color real quick. People love the Gatorade color.
I don't know if I could. I don't even know if I could find that, son.
I know it doesn't inspire you, but the people love the Gatorade color line.
I don't. I don't see it.
No,
So
you don't have to. You don't have to give the numbers. Just tell me what color you think it's gonna be. Just throw it out there, just for
I
fun.
really don't care, man. I'm gonna
I
go. You
mean,
know what? I'm gonna go straight
Scrooge.
up. Can I do straight up water? Clear water? No.
Ladies and
All right. I
gentlemen,
go orange.
you're
I go orange. Damn it, orange.
so we didn't have a Kikats of the Week planned, but I'd like to make that moment right there. The Kikats of the Week, Pop picking straight up water for the Super Bowl Gatorade. I'm
I
taking
said
yellow.
orange. Orange. All right.
All right,
Is
Pop's got
yellow? That's
orange.
lime. It's supposed to be
I
lime,
got
right?
yellow. Yeah,
All right.
yellow is lemon lime. It's the best flavor, so I'm picking yellow.
All right. It's debatable.
You got a favorite Gatorade flavor? Now that we're on the topic, real quick, you got a favorite color you like yourself personally?
Not really.
I'm just hey, I'm telling you what the people want. They want the Gatorade discourse
All
here,
right.
but you're not playing along. That's
I
okay.
said I rallied. I came around. I said orange. All right.
Straight up water. We need a T-shirt. That is incredible.
I feel this. I feel about the Gatorade challenges. I feel about the Commanders offensive coordinator. That
Yeah, and hey, that's a
doesn't
great
move me.
segue. It's a great segue. I think it's time we move into some NFL news. First of which would be the Commanders OC search is pretty much stuck in limbo right now because of the Super Bowl, because we're actually going to be interviewing Eric Bieniemy. So make of that what you will. We'll probably have an opportunity to talk about that again before anything gets finalized, so we'll do that then. But that is why we don't really have any Commanders news
You
for you,
never
because
know.
that's the biggest headline and it's in limbo.
Yep.
So you never
I think
know.
the next time we cover that, we're going to know who it is. Because you figure a week after the Super Bowl, I think we'll probably know and we can
We
comment on
might.
it. We go deeper on Commanders offseason stuff.
It's possible. What I can confirm, I have insider sources on this one. This is 100%
Uh
breaking news. Rex Ryan's prediction of Sean Payton and Tom Brady coming to the Washington Commanders is officially not happening. I can break that one down. That is
Yeah.
not happening. There was, and to give Rex some
Stick to
credit,
what you're good at, Rex. Stick to what you're good at,
we're not going to go any further on that. To give Rex some credit.
I know you're thinking what I'm thinking. Leave it at that.
Give Rex family friendly podcast. To give Rex some credit. I actually do have some people inside the league working for various NFL teams that had come to me with that theory earlier in the week. So it was hanging around the rumor mill, but it was junk at the end of the day. Brady announces his retirement. That's got to be the biggest headline of the week. Obviously, nothing but respect to the GOAT here for me. I lived in Boston for a few years, and I got to kind of experience just how much that guy meant to that city. I got to see him win a couple Super Bowls while I was out there, and I've never seen anything like it. The impact that guy had on
You
that
shed all
city
your
and that fan
tears.
base.
You shed all your tears last year, or did you get a little emotional again this time?
I tell you what, this time hit harder because Rivers is
You're funny.
done. It's like a moment for me of really feeling grown up, because my childhood was like Favre, Brady, Manning, Rivers, Breeze, Roethlisberger, and they were all done. Brady was the last one, and he hung it up, and Rodgers is kind of hanging on by a thread. Um, and
I
he
was
even came in
Bradshaw,
later on there.
Theismann, Montana.
Yeah.
So.
But the league, I mean, the thing that makes me happy is that this next generation of kids who are going to grow up and fall in love with football on the back of these quarterbacks, the same way that I have, the league is in unbelievable hands with Burrow, Mahomes, Hurts, Lamar, all these guys, Josh Allen. The league is in great hands. So that's what kind of made me
So you
happy.
think it's going to stick? You think it's going to stick this time?
He's done.
Yeah, I think so too.
He knows he
How much
can't
is he
play.
waiting on him with Fox? I'll throw you one of those questions that you always throw me.
$375 million.
I figured you'd know that. So yeah. He's good.
You tried to get me, man. Tried to get me.
I had faith in you. I had faith in you.
Yeah. Might be 25. It's either 25 or
No,
75.
I think that
It's a lot of
sounds,
money.
that sounds right. Anyway.
It's a lot of money, and allegedly he's going to take Greg Olson's job, I guess. I hope Greg Olson finds a job elsewhere, because I actually think he's been great.
Listen, we try to give you accurate information, but you listen here for the entertainment primarily.
Yeah.
You know?
There you go. It's the heart. The boy's got a lot of heart.
Hey, give the effort every time out.
Yeah. So otherwise, I guess there's been some offensive coordinator shuffling. We'll just go through that rapid fire. Sorry, the second biggest headline has got to be Sean Payton going to the Broncos before we do coordinators.
Yeah.
And
all those picks they gave up. Craziness between Wilson and Sean Payton. I think they're picking in the first round in like 2030 next time.
You gotta wonder. I mean, my son might be eligible to get drafted by the Broncos next time they go first.
Be little pop.
Yeah, you gotta wonder. What did they say to Peyton? Did they guarantee Peyton the job for like 10 years? Like what? How do you? Because I don't know why he would want to take that job. There was all the places he could have gone. It just sounds nuts to me.
I mean, we could probably do a whole show on this, but some of the Russ Wilson stuff is just nuts, right? The fact that they said that he demanded an office in the Broncos facility. And then also, he demanded to have his staff, like 4 or 5 of his staff members, have a place to work in the Broncos facility. Imagine being a teammate of that. Really, you gotta hope that Sean goes in and cleans that stuff up like right away.
Yeah.
That's just wild. What happened to the man?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it briefly. Is like I've never seen a fall from grace so swift in this
Yeah,
manner, where it's like he went from being known as like family man, like strong in his faith, like big locker room guy, really well respected around the league, to like overnight it felt like all of a sudden he became what he is now. And so I hope he could figure it out. I don't wish anybody ill will. I hope the Broncos can figure it
yeah.
all out there. I will not be picking him for my fantasy team next year like I did this year. I effed that one up. So
But maybe
Sean
a
Payton.
veteran coach like a Sean Payton, no nonsense, is just what he needs, right? Somebody that's coming in
Yeah,
going, look, we gotta put all this stuff to the side. Let's focus on winning some football. And hopefully last year was a humbling experience. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Peyton can do. Sometimes that second act for a coach that's been so successful doesn't
yeah,
quite work out the same as the first act. It rarely does. So be interesting. And it's a lot to give up for a coach. He's not going to be putting on the cleats and being on that field. But
yeah.
yeah, good one there. What else you got, son?
Otherwise, Derek Carr, we know he's probably leaving Vegas. He's officially been talking to some other teams. Just a matter of where he's going to end up. I did read this morning, not on the outline, but related to that, the Raiders are nauseous over Tom Brady retiring. That was their number one plan, was for McDaniels to go get Brady. So they're not feeling so great about that whole thing. And I don't know how that's your number one plan, whatever, poorly managed over there. But who are we to throw stones in a glass house about poorly managed? But speaking
Aaron
of poorly
Rodgers is on the
managed,
trade block, so
yep, that's another
maybe
one.
yeah.
So Rodgers is on the trade block. Ron has been. I heard a report that Ron was out there playing golf with him in Pebble Beach, and Aaron chipped one right onto the fringe of the green, and Ron said, "Hey, Aaron, that's a gimme. That's a gimme. Take that. It's okay." He was giving Rodgers 20, 25-foot putts. He said, "That's a gimme. That's a tap in. It's a tap in. Just pick it up."
I mean,
No, but listen,
we could spend a ton of time on this, but given the injury news, I think Rodgers to San Francisco, his hometown team, to me
not
that makes the
possible.
most sense of everything. Why?
Not possible because the Packers officially said they will not trade him in the NFC. So that's not possible,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
All right. All right.
Um,
Bow me up.
but I think
Cut
it
my
makes a
knees
lot
out
of
from under me.
I think it makes a lot of sense too. I agree with you,
Makes
but
sense for
it's
the
just like
49ers, but you're right.
yeah,
It doesn't make sense for the Green
they
Bay.
won't trade him in the NFC. So I think the Jets are the main leader in the clubhouse, especially with Nathaniel Hackett headed there now. They're
Good
all in on
call.
him. And then number 2 would be the Raiders. So speaking of greasing lampposts, we got to grease the lamppost by our Jets insiders place if they get there
Absolutely.
could be some crazy stuff going on if they get Rodgers. It's gonna go nuts. But yes, that's pretty much it. It looks like Geno Smith, Seahawks contract talks are looking really good, and then of course within the division, the Cowboys. Round of applause for Jerry Jones for letting Kellen Moore go, and Mike McCarthy gets the call
I
first
love
down.
the fact
Love
that Mike
that.
McCarthy's going to call
Love
plays.
that. And
I
Kellen
mean,
Moore.
look, it was such a brilliant play that he called at the end of that playoff game, with Zeke at center. I mean, that must have just tipped Jerry Jones's thought process and said, yeah, he's the guy.
Yep.
Let him call
So
the plays.
you want to talk about, there was a lot of criticism, which I thought was funny, when Turner got fired in DC. A lot of people were criticizing and saying, "Oh, it's a sacrificial lamb. It should be Ron, but they're getting rid of Turner just to point finger." You want to talk about a sacrificial lamb? Firing Kellen Moore, who the offense has been top 10 ever since he's been there, who was getting head coaching looks after last season. They had the number one offensive football last year. Firing Kellen Moore is
I love
the
it.
most you have to
I
put. And
love it.
you know what I love even more? He comes home to the Los Angeles Chargers. He comes home. I don't root for any other team than the Commanders, but that's my LA team. If I have to pick a team in LA that I like the Chargers better than the Rams. he comes home to the Los Angeles Chargers, and they are going to cook with him next year. I think I'm so excited to
Early
see what he can do with
2023
Herbert.
prediction from Dami.
So excited to see what he can do with Herbert if he can. If Brandon Staley will stay out of his way, but that's great.
You missed the
Thank you,
biggest
Jerry
news of
Jones.
it all. Scotty
Go ahead.
Turner hired by the Raiders as their passing game coordinator.
Yep. So
good for Scott. Good for Scott.
Good for Scott.
Local boy.
You gotta, hopefully their new quarterback can do 7 and 8 step dropbacks. That's gonna be important there, and little empty back sets gonna be happening a lot. Josh Jacobs, maybe he wants to go elsewhere. He's not gonna be playing much, but yeah, no, good for Scott. Want to shout him out. He definitely, it was time for him to go, but making him into the villain that he became was also maybe not 100% fair either. Don't really think we have too much Commanders news to check in on elsewhere.
We kind of touched on it already. Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of waiting to see what happens with hopefully Super Bowl winning for the second time offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. That's going to be a big determining factor. I guess Anthony Lynn was interviewed. That's really cool. He's a favorite candidate of mine. But otherwise, we'll have much more concrete things to talk about, much more substantial things to talk about in a couple of weeks. So we're going to do that then. And we will see you guys next week breaking down the Super Bowl for our Super Bowl post-game podcast. Until then, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thank you guys for another great week.
Just love me, baby. Oh.